There we go. Hello. Good morning. Switching the mic over. There we go. Hello, hello. How are you guys? Can light some Palo Santo. Good morning. And good afternoon and good evening to some of you in different time zones. Hello, hello. Hi, Adriana. Good morning, love. Hi, Erin. Hi, Jasmine. Good morning, Patrick. Nice to see you, bud. How are you guys? You guys good? I'm just smudging the space. I was just doing clearings with Katie this morning. Now I'm buzzing because of all the high vibe energies coming through. Good morning, Michelle. Nice to see you, honey. Hello, hello. Hi, Courtney. Hi, Daniel Jackson. Hi, Gabby. I just got to sing Gabby's praises really quick. For those of you who do not know, Gabby has been helping me with messages. She's been helping me getting my reports organized. Gabby is just the most wonderful person. I love you, Gabby. I hope you know how much I deeply appreciate all the help you've been doing lately. Good morning, Erin. Hi, Debbie. Hi, Jody. Hi, Karen. Hi, Chantal. Hi, Keisha. Hi, Nicholas. Hi, Kieran. Nice to see you. So how is everyone? How's things been going? Did you guys have a good weekend? I'm trying to keep Mondays solo so that way we can chit chat and see how you guys have been. See how your weekend went. Did you guys have a good 420? I had a really good one. In fact, before there's too many eyes on me, I should show you guys what my friend got me. One of my friends got me a 420 present, and you guys are going to giggle when you see it, right? So it's called Astral Project. Right? And I laughed and I'm like, what is this? What did she get me? Interesting. So then I looked. She got me an obsidian pipe. So I'm protected while puffing now. So thank you, Natalie. It's my friend who got me that. Very cool gift. I had a giggle to myself. I'm like, wow, how perfect is that? Although I am going on another hiatus. I'm gonna take another break now. We'll see how that goes. So what did you guys do this weekend? Anything interesting going on? In fact, let me check it out really quick. I'm gonna check out what the Schumann's been up to. Let's see what the Schumann's been up to this weekend. I haven't even checked. I'm always checking too, but not this weekend. You gardened, Lisa. That's wonderful. I'm going to do some gardening when the weather gets nicer. That's a weird looking spikies we had yesterday. We had 3 big spikes yesterday. Let's see. I have a beautiful friend that came to mind to share for a podcast. Her name is Deborah DeBow. I'm not sure how you connect with your guest, but I wanted to share. I kind of letting the universe bring them to me recently. It's like I'm just kind of winging it as I go. I don't really even plan these things that far in advance. So yeah, I just kind of chat with people, see if they resonate, and if I like what they're putting out there, then yeah, I bring them on. So hit me up with a private message and we'll chat about that, Erin. That would be very nice. Thank you. I just got a box of fine metal dust from a sign maker. Nice, Michelle. Very clever. Recycling. Yeah. Gamed with my son after his soccer game. That's wonderful. That's one of my favorite things to do, I must say, is to play games with kids. Like we play Uno every night before Aiden goes to bed because it's his favorite game. So we read books too, but we also play Uno. And he's very competitive, so I do my best to kick his butt. Because every time I kick his butt and he gets frustrated, I'm like, see, you're training yourself to have better sportsmanship. Like, he never ever gets a freebie win out of me. I always make him earn it. But yeah, the kids, they really do love stuff like that. It's one of the best ways to spend time with them is to do what they love. You went to the zoo with a friend before she moves in the middle of the country. Aw, that's nice. At least you got to go out and spend some time in nature around animals. Very cool. Steffa says I went to a 420 festival and wire wrapped new joint holders. Nice one, Steffa. Love that. Stephanie planted flowers. That's a good one. Patrick went to a metaphysical fair in California. Very cool. Nice one. So, for those of you who just kind of vegged out this weekend, that's also really good because we need our time to just kind of veg out and relax and enjoy ourselves. But this day and age, we don't get that too often. Hi, Irene. Nice to see you joining us from Melbourne at this hour. It's nice to see you on. Good morning, Chandrika. So I was just doing clearings this morning and I got some cool information. So you remember the other day how I told you guys about how there was a new soul guide that Katie's been working with? I should say working with it. It came in the other day, a very high vibrational being. Well, Katie's been talking with her a little bit. Her name is Magdalena. So Katie's new guide is Magdalena, and Magdalena has been sharing some new interesting information with us about all kinds of stuff. Especially about one thing that she was talking about this morning was really interesting, was about time jumping. Because a lot of you have noticed that time is very fluid, right? That time is it changes and moves around and it's very relative, right? Like how maybe if you're doing something you don't like, it feels like it's taking forever. But if you're doing something you really enjoy, then it feels like it just blasts right through it. Something like that. But you also have a lot of interesting new developments when it comes to the soul guides, because as we are evolving, many of our soul guides are also evolving as well. And so this is one of the reasons why we're often shifting and changing soul guides, because when we have a new need that arises when it comes to some of the new work that we've been doing or something like that, sometimes they'll call in somebody that's even stronger or has different abilities. And so one of the other interesting things that a lot of people are asking is, what is my life purpose? And one of the things that we've learned is that your life purpose changes all the time. Some people think that they are incarnate with only one life purpose, but your purpose changes depending on what life chapter you're in. So if you're in a new chapter, then yeah, you might need new guides to come in because you're doing new things. You've got new energies coming through. And so it is very, what's the word? It's a little unsettling when you're trying to connect with the same guides and you realize that you have new ones. So it is something that I feel like many of us should be discussing more often, because you don't have the same life mission throughout your entire life. You don't have the same guides. Many of our soul guides come and go as we need. And so, yeah, this is one of the interesting things that's happened with our mediums that are doing these clearings too, is that sometimes, as you guys are aware, there's new beasties and baddies that we come across. As I mentioned the other day, we found out there's something even worse than reptilians out there, which is a little unsettling to find out. But then what happens? We get upgraded guides. So we're all like, yeah, it's not a problem. I got this. So, yeah, I'm here to answer any questions that some of you guys might have today, because I don't really have a plan. I was just kind of chit-chatting today. So is there anything that you guys wanted to discuss now that I've got 107 of you here watching me just ramble on? Catherine says, so what's worse than reptilians? They didn't give me a name. But apparently there is something out there that has been masquerading itself as a Lizzie. And one of the interesting things, one of the differences between them, which I was told, and I don't know the name. I don't know their name yet. Maybe we should just come up with our own name. Maybe they should just have a pet name, kind of like how we've been calling them Lizzies. We just have something else. I don't know. If somebody else has a pet name you want to call the thing that's apparently worse than Lizzie's, I'm all game for that. But I imagine the reason, and this is something that I kind of interpreted it in my own way, right? But this is what I'm gathering is like the big difference between the two. So when it comes to Lizzie's, for example, right? Think of it as here, I got a good analogy. Okay, so let's say that you have chickens, right? You have chickens on your farm. You love your chickens, right? You go out there. If a fox tries to come mess with your chickens, you'll run out there in your underwear ready to fight that fox to protect your chickens, right? But if worse comes to worse, and you were to end up really hungry and you didn't have any other options, yeah, you would eat one of your chickens because, that's what livestock is kind of around for. We may love our livestock, but it's different when it comes to being a farmer because you understand that everything on your farm has a reason for being, right? So if you're getting eggs, then you're happy with your chickens. But if worse comes to worse and they stop producing eggs, what do? You eat one. At least that's what a lot of farmers do. Well, Lizzie's kind of have that same fondness, I should say, for humans. So, you do have Lizzies who just like, I don't give a shit, the same kind of people that'll just kick a chicken if it's in their way. That's kind of their attitude. You get in their way, you get kicked. And other people, they just absolutely love to eat chickens. They don't really care about chickens. They just love eating chickens. That's kind of like the Lizzies are with us. They don't really care about humans. We're just a tasty snack. But then you also get the Lizzies that have a natural fondness for us, where they basically are like, I don't eat my chickens, but I'll eat the store chickens. That's kind of how many of the others look. They do have different ways of looking at us. Well, these other beings look at us like we're insects, like we're just roaches that deserve to be stepped on. They don't have a natural fondness for us, from what I'm gathering. They just consider us to be a nuisance or just a snack that they can just, like it's nothing to them. So I imagine that this is part of what makes them more formidable, I guess is the best way of putting it, is that there is zero level of compassion and interest in protection. Whereas with other ones, they don't want to eat all of us because then there would be no more chickens, if you know what I mean, So it's kind of like that. And so these new beings that are coming in, like I said, they are quite formidable and they know when they're about to get cleared. This is why the only thing we really end up finding is the residual energy of them left behind. So we have to keep going back and checking again and again and again to try and catch them out. Because if they know a clearing is coming, if we even tell them that we're going to go back in and clear them in a couple weeks, they'll wait a couple weeks to even come back because they're really, really, really smart. And we've also found out that hybrids are also a thing. So you get hybrids of level 2s and 3s that are basically like demonic extraterrestrials, which is also something quite formidable that we've been dealing with. So, but these are not a common thing, just for the record. We've only found, I think, 2 of them on people since we started doing these clearings. So it's not like this is something that you guys are all should be concerned about. Just normally practice your spiritual hygiene and your other... you call it your spiritual hygiene and your psychic protection. Those are the normal things that we should be focusing on. And somebody in the group today was basically expressing like how I shared a video in the SRT group about home protection, right? And one of the people commented underneath and said, is all this really necessary? Isn't this just spreading more fear? You're just basically putting more fear out there. And I wanted to express something today because I do feel that, we kind of need to do these protections anyway. Like, for example, I cleared somebody this morning and I don't know where they live, but they must live in a city somewhere. They had a portal by their front door. And every single time they were coming in and out of their front door, they were being affected by this portal. And I asked, why is this portal there? And it's because they live in the city. There's so much energy going on. And just craziness on the other side of that door, that portal isn't going to stay shut. So there's not really much else that she could do other than to affect what's going on the other side of the door, which is her home. So what else can you do? Well, you can smudge your home regularly. They said that one of the reasons that you wear, for example, in Japan, you don't ever bring your shoes in the house. Well, the soul guides were just explaining that every time they wear their shoes in the house, they're bringing in all of that crazy chaos energy from outside into the home. So even the shoes are carrying that energy into the home. And so it's like, well, you can't leave your shoes outside when you live in a city. And it's like, well, no, you can't. So what do? You basically have to smudge your shoes, or at least, I don't know, there's got to be something. Maybe you can put like a pentagram. If you were to get a doormat for the inside of your house with a pentagram on it that you step on every single time that you step into the house, that might help, because pentagrams cancel out that negative energy. They're very protective. You could get, you know how they got those trays that they have for wet boots, right? They had those winter trays for wet, for boots and stuff that are covered in snow. Put a thin layer of sea salt down on the bottom of them, and then just put your boots on, or your shoes on top of that when you come in, And there's other things that you can do just to be on the safe side. And I wanted to reiterate, though, because like I said that this morning, that one person just said, why is all this even necessary? Isn't this just a little bit overkill? Isn't this bit, fear-based? And I laughed and I was like, well, do you feel fear-based when you basically lock your car door, when you walk away from your car? Do you feel fear-based when you lock your doors at night just to make sure that your home is secure? No. If you were to tell your children, no, the reason that we're locking the car doors is so we don't get carjacked and murdered as we go through this area, then yeah, you are kind of expressing a bit of fear that something as bad is going to happen. But if you just lock it as a precaution and you say, this is street smarts. This is what you do in order to make sure that you are protected and secure. It has nothing to do with fear. It's actually just making your walls tighter, if you know what I mean. It's just making sure that there's no opportunists who are going to take advantage of the fact that we're not, dotting all our I's and crossing all our T's. And just like there's criminals out there who will take advantage of you leaving your doors unlocked, there are unfortunately entities who take advantage of us not using the certain amount of protection. So, if you're in an area, Annetta, for example, Annetta says, I don't lock my car doors or my home. Well, the funny thing is around here where I live in Pennsylvania, I don't either. I just don't. But if I lived in Philadelphia, or if I was back living in Atlantic City, where I lived for many years, where I went and visited this weekend, when I went to Atlantic City, every time I went into a gas station, I locked my doors because I know that I'm in an area where I'm more likely to be at risk. Same thing goes for you guys. If you feel safe and secure and your home is out in nature and you don't have anything that around that may make you feel that you have any concern, then by all means, just, do whatever makes you feel comfortable. But if you're like my client this morning who lives in a city and has a lot of people and energy and stuff going on, they basically said it's like the Bermuda Triangle going on outside her door. They made a joke, but they were basically trying to express how much energy is going on when you have cars that are constantly passing, and you have people walking past your door, when you have delivery things and Wi-Fi signals hundreds and hundreds of Wi-Fi signals that are overlapping each other. And then you get the 5G tower down the street. If you think about it, that energy compared to somebody who lives out in the middle of nowhere in, I don't know, some rural area out in farm country, they're going to have vastly different needs for home protection, if you know what I mean. So, it's like, you should know, but based on how you feel in your own home, how much, and also how many issues that you may be having, on whether or not you need to increase your protection or whether or not you can get a bit lax with it. But it's always important. It's like practicing street smarts. If you're home and you feel and you're in your safe space, then you don't need as much protection as if you were traveling from somewhere that you're not used to, places that you don't understand the energetics and stuff like that. So really, it's just like being street smart, except you're being spirit smart. I lived in city center Allentown on the first ward. I couldn't even go in my tiny backyard. Nowhere was safe. My building was haunted. Something overtook my daughter. So grateful to manifest a different reality. Wonderful. Yes. I live a mile out of city center. Been getting more overwhelmed by the noise and people last few months. Longing for a quieter life. Andy asked Chen if they should move to London because London would, there's a lot more work for SRT in London. And Chen was like, like, no, you stay put. You need to stay where you are. Going to London is not a good idea. And the reason for that is just because we're in the cities, you are so much more at risk than you are if you're out in the country, somewhere peaceful in nature, all of that nature energy. It allows you to kind of refresh yourself. And so there's a lot more going on in cities because of the people, because of the buildings, because of all the electronics and all the signals constantly around us. I mean, whereas if you go out in nature, you're lucky if you even get a 2G signal. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like that. Memento says, my neighbor would freak out about doors left open, keys in the outside, etc. They nervously knock on my door to let me know if I left the key out. I do it all the time, and only looking at their faces, I realize I have to be more careful. I have always kind of been like that, though. Like, I've always kind of known I was protected in a way, so I've always kind of done dumb shit because I thought, I'm like, somebody's got my back, I'm fine. And they did have my back, but I did have a couple very close calls where I learned some things through those close calls. So luckily, I haven't had to learn everything the hard way. My guides have protected me quite a few times from my own stupidity in certain areas when it comes to being a backpacker. I was a backpacker for 14 years. And for over half of that, I did it alone as a solo backpacker. And as a woman traveling in third world countries, you need to have street smarts. You need to know what you're doing and how to conduct yourself, how to behave, what things to do and not to do, and it's the same thing with spiritual stuff, protections. Leanne says, I live in a small village, but still lock up everything and add protection. Well, you just never know. Gabby says, we live pretty close to a 5G post, but for the rest, it's a pretty nice and calm place. Yeah, those 5G towers are really something because we've noticed sometimes through our repeat clearings where we'll clear somebody and then we'll have to go back and clear them again and again. And then what we keep doing in more investigative work is every time, like, sometimes we'll close portals going back 6 to 8 blocks. We're closing all the portals. We're clearing all the earthbounds. We go through and we start doing it like in a grid. We start moving back further and further and have the guides clearing a bigger and bigger radius every time. And we're like, where are they getting in? Like, what is this? It's from the damn tower, the 5G towers. They open portals all over the place. They're like a mini CERN. They're just, I'm telling you, that's the main thing that they're using them for. This is why they keep saying, like, oh, you need faster Wi-Fi. Bullshit. They just want more grids. They want more portals out in their grids. Just reading through the comments. I live right next to a tower, but I live right by downtown Fort Worth, so they're everywhere. Yep. But keep in mind, we are all spread out in a grid for a reason because there's a lot of energy that we are channeling down into this grid that, it's like this big matrix grid. And so some of you, I'm sorry to say, have a much tougher job where you've been placed in that grid trying to raise that frequency. Because some of us, like I said, if you're out in the middle of the boonies and it's nice juju out there, you don't really have as much hard work, I should say. I wouldn't say maybe it's not as much hard work. I should say as much trying to stop you from raising that frequency because the frequency is already high. You're basically anchoring it. But if you live in an area where there's a lot of towers, where there's a lot of people, where there's a lot of crime, you have a very large task of raising the vibration of that space. It's not just you. I imagine they have reinforcements in that area. The more populated an area is, the more star seeds and things that you're going to find in there. But at the same time, this is also why we need you guys in those areas. So I just want to say thank you for taking one for the team if you're somewhere like Chicago or New York City. Because we need to raise the vibration of that space majorly, yes. So thank you. Thank you very much to all of you who have, come down here to help us anchor these new frequencies, because it's not an easy job. Just being an antenna is not easy. I had a city friend the other day, and I had to ground and clear my chakras when she left. But this is also true, though. When you live in nature and you go out and you spend time in nature, you recharge your batteries faster. So if you go out every day and you're walking around in a park, or if you're walking around somewhere with like a flowing river or creek or something, you're refilling your internal battery faster. Okay. But people who work their butts off all day long, who come home and watch TV, who don't do any sort of grounding or spiritual practices, people who don't eat particularly well, people who don't sleep particularly well, they don't go out in nature to refill that battery, their battery stays low. Like, it's kind of like having an old iPhone, right? And you're trying to recharge it and it doesn't hold a charge very long, and you're like, why? And then you look into the battery health, and the battery health is at 60%, and you can only really so a full charge is only 60%. And you wonder why your phone doesn't last very long. It's just like that when you're living in the city or somewhere that you constantly are being bombarded by these other frequencies. Other people's energies are constantly draining you. And then you don't have a place where you can go to refill that battery to its actual fullest. Okay. So this is why so many people from the cities are desperate to go and spend time in Central Park, for example, or to get out of the city for a vacation. It's because they're trying to repair that battery health. Okay. They're trying to get the battery to go longer and extend its shelf life, if you know what I mean. So that is why so many people in cities are not able to monitor their energy well, or not able to, replenish themselves. So unfortunately, that's where you're also going to find the most energy vampires. And they don't mean to be. Most of them don't even realize they're draining the people around them. It's just that they can't help it. They're exhausted. They didn't sleep very well. They're not eating very well. They're not protected. They're not meditating, because meditation will also increase your battery life. You don't need to go into nature. You just need to ground yourself and channel that energy from your higher self. So even if people live in the city, you can still extend that battery life. You just need to get some sun. You need to get some fresh air. And you need to meditate, because meditating is one of the many ways that you can extend that battery life, if you know what I mean. But if you don't meditate, and if you don't do any spiritual cleansing, and if you don't get rid of everybody's energy from the end of the day, you can do it in many different ways. You can just shake it off. Shake off other people's energy when you're walking through the door. You can smudge it away. You can have essential oils like rose oil or frankincense to help raise your vibration, okay? But there's many things you can do to get rid of that energy. You can even just say, any energy that is attached to me that is not mine, I return to source of peace and love. You can dance. Exactly, Michelle. So you got to get creative when you live in cities. Shower. Yes, Leanne, shower every night and just visualize everybody else's energy just washing off of you. Clapping is a good one too, Patrick. I love that. Yes, clapping is good. My mom had a really bad headache last night, and my sister, who's a muggle, was visiting, and her kids were also visiting. And so my mom was saying how she had bad headache. My mom was doing this, her head was really hurting. So I got up and I walked around and I put my hands like this around her head, and they all looked at me like, Laura, doing that weird hippie shit again, And I was just like, I don't care. And I went and I did it for her. And then my mom, she was like, wow, I can actually feel the heat from your hands. And I'm like, yeah, it's working. And I could feel that she had a block in her third eye. And so I helped to clear that energy. And what I did was I clapped 3 times over her head. And by the time I finished clapping those 3 claps, her headache was gone. And she just looked up at me like, wow, that was cool. And I was like, see, I told you. It works. So yeah, anytime that you feel something like that, you really just have to you can give yourself Reiki. You don't have to ask for it from somebody else. So if you feel like you've got too much energy from other people, you can cleanse all of that. Or you could even literally just start clapping. just clap that energy away, because clapping will disrupt that low frequency and it will start bringing in better energy. Allison said, did that leave your sister believing more? No. No, not at all. Just a placebo effect, you know? It's all in the mind. But that's fine. Whatever. We all have our things that we believe in, and I respect hers. It's just that, yeah, she I did get a little bit annoyed though when her son started laughing at me and acting like I'm like, you do realize this is a thing that people have trained for and they're even using in hospitals. And he's like, really? I'm like, yeah, you're laughing at me like I'm batshit crazy, but you know, this is really a thing. Oh. But in their defense, they've never seen anything like it. Most people that are living the normal day-to-day life, they don't see things like that. They don't see people working Reiki or anything like that. And so they just exactly, crazy Aunt Laura. That's what they think when they see me doing this stuff. But this is why it's important to start talking about these things more and to start just getting more involved in these things. Because you know what's funny is my mom was just like my sister. She had an astral projection experience like 20 years ago, but she still wasn't quite, a believer. But it was funny, that Lizzie attack that she had not too long ago ended up being a really positive thing, which is so ironic because if you guys remember, I was so pissed off when those 3 Lizzies got my mom a couple weeks ago. But the funny thing is I believe that was actually meant to happen because it has completely changed her attitude about it. She's carrying organite in her pocket. I never thought I would see the day. So, it's like sometimes people need to see in order to believe. And if they haven't seen, then they're not going to believe. And I was one of those people. If I had never had my astral projection experience, I would not be talking to you guys right now. Not even a chance. Or if I was, I'd be telling you about 9/11 or the New World Order instead. I would not be talking to you about spiritual stuff. So this is why I say, we all have reasons why we believe what we believe. And there's no disrespect to anybody that doesn't agree. It's just that, I'm still waiting for them to have their rude awakening. At some point, there's gonna be something that'll catch their attention, like those 3 Lizzies did. But everything has been really great since then. Like I said, she's focusing on her spiritual protection. She's taking this work more seriously. She realizes the importance of it now. So every time that there's something that seems bad at first, it seems to be transmuting into something positive. So this is what we got to do, you guys. There's always something positive that can come out of a negative. We just got to figure out what it's going to be. Saw a question, or is it a statement? Lisa says, I went to London for a funeral. I left London 16 years ago. And my golly, did I see and feel the intense energies. I so had to cleanse my energy as soon as I got back. I was like, wow, how did I live there for so long? I did always go to nature when I lived there, though. But wow, I was shocked at the intenseness and actually felt sorry for my mates. That's kind of how I felt when I went to Atlantic City this weekend. I'm not going to lie. Going and visiting New Jersey after living in Amish country for the last 4 years. And I only go and visit them maybe 3 times a year. So it is quite a difference. Like I say, you go from feeling perfectly safe here and never locking your doors to locking your doors every time you step out of your car. It's like, you just know there's certain areas where you do have to up your game a little bit, But I've always done dumb shit without realizing it. Like I went to Ozfest once. I went to an Ozzy concert in Camden, New Jersey once. And I didn't know that you shouldn't be walking through Camden, New Jersey at 2-3 o'clock in the morning as a 24-year-old young lady by yourself. I just wanted to save money on parking. So I ended up parking like literally in the middle of Camden. It was an hour-long walk to get to the event. And I walked an hour through Camden to get to the event, and then I walked an hour back at 2 o'clock in the morning to get back at my car at 3 o'clock in the morning. And I was fine. I was completely fine. But after I told my friends what I did the next day, they're like, and you're alive? You didn't get robbed or worse? How the hell? I'm like, I don't know. Maybe I was just protected. Oops. Like, so I've been very blessed from not having to learn the hard way in some situations, but always better safe than sorry. Oh yeah. Let's see. I'm just reading through some of the comments. As an adult, I took on all the perceptions and beliefs, and it's taken me a bit to remember again. Grateful for it all. Well said, Aaron. So, do you guys have any questions? Like I said, I'm just kind of rambling here today, just chit-chatting with you guys. I think many of us have put ourselves in dangerous situations without realizing it, and then the soul guides are like, God damn it. Now we got to work extra hard. But I do believe that they protect us from all the things that are not meant to happen. I'm not so sure they can protect us from anything else, though. If there is something that's in your life plan, like, for example, if I was meant to be mugged walking across Camden at 3 o'clock in the morning to teach me a lesson, then yeah, that would have happened. But funnily enough, I was lucky that my friends were able to teach me the lesson through giving me shit the next day rather than having to learn it through experience. So it's kind of like that. Like, I do believe they do protect us, or at least give us warnings. But yeah, I really do feel like they can protect us from some things. It's just the things that we have planned as part of our Earth curriculum, I don't think they're allowed to change. So it's like, some things where it's like Jesus takes the wheel sometimes when you're driving and you're not paying attention. And you're like, whoa, that was a close call. Somebody almost hits you and you're paying attention and you don't even realize it. Things like that, I think they protect us from all the time. Ariana says, also as empaths, we should always be putting on our protection before we go out and take it off when we get home. Laura, can you share more about this for those who don't know? It's really helpful. Well, for example, what I do for my protections is I usually end up wearing some form of organite. I have a couple different kinds. I usually have one of these. This is one of Andy's protection pebbles, but there's different ones. My friend got me a really cool one off of Etsy. Where is it? I took it off to charge it. Where did it go? I have so much stuff, and what I try to do is I try to leave it on. I try to rotate it so that way I have a day of charging and a day of not. Because you don't want to wear the same jewelry out 2 days in a row, or if you do, you want to at least make sure that you're charging it at night. What did I do with that? My friend got me a really cool bracelet, and then I moved it somewhere because I was showing it to my mom last night, and now I don't have it. Did I leave it at my mom's? Maybe I did. Oops. Okay, I'll have to show you another. There's an organite bracelet I got. It looks like somebody took an iWatch and they hollowed out the mechanics part and they put organite inside. So yeah, there's different types of organite. I would definitely get organite, but if you can't find organite, even just things like this would work. I've got 2 obsidian bracelets that I wear. You could wear those. There's all kinds of different ones. You could even just wear essential oils. I have several protection oils that I'm also looking for. I have like rose essential oil. I have frankincense. There's a whole bunch of different ones that you can wear. And if you don't want to wear them on your skin, there's other bracelets that I have that are all the way on the other side of my office right now that are lava stones. So if you ever see some of the bracelets will have like little holes in it and they're black. That's lava rock. You can actually put essential oils inside those little holes and it will hold on to it. So you don't have to put the essential oil on your skin. You can actually put it inside the bracelet itself, which is really cool. So that will boost your etheric protection. But even just doing the four protective things every day, you don't need any objects. They do help. But if you're sitting down every morning before you go out to make sure that you're grounded, visualizing the roots leaving your feet and going deep down into the earth and visualizing these roots that are coming out of your body or wrapping around the core of the earth, That is some very deep grounding. And that is one of the most important things you can do, because if you're not grounded, then you're not connected to yourself. You're not, when I say yourself, I mean that self. You're not connected to your guides as well. You're not connected to your body as well as you could be. You're not connected to your environment as well. You're not going to pick up on energies as well. So when I say grounding is the first most important thing you do every day, I'm not kidding. And very important. Next thing you do is the light protection. You can visualize white light. You can visualize violet flame. You can visualize anything. I like the golden pyramid. And so I think the golden pyramid is really good because you open a door, you step inside, and you close the door and you lock yourself inside that golden pyramid of light. And I really like the whole wetsuit thing that Andy does. So for those of you who have not seen it, Andy, when he does his morning protection protocols, he visualizes a wetsuit that you climb into, like one you would use for like Arctic water. So you visualize your hand going in, you visualize your other hand going in, you visualize both feet stepping in, you visualize the hood coming up and zipping it up tight. And the reason for that is because one of their clients, they couldn't find. An entity put her in a wetsuit and they couldn't find her. It took ages for the soul guides to actually figure out where she was and why they couldn't sense her energetically. That's why, because the entities put her in one of those wetsuits. So now when we do it, the entities can't find us. And then you can also do the whole invisibility cloak where you visualize a visibility cloak around yourself, because when you do that, then nobody can even see you. You're completely invisible in the astral. So if they can't sense you energetically, they can't see you, then how are they going to attach to you? They're not even going to know you're around. So if you're doing any form of astral projection work, you can also do that before your astral projecting practice. That way you can go into the astral and be completely indetectable. So you can do all sorts of different ones. There's some for sleep as well. So if you guys are concerned about somebody messing with you at night when you sleep, you do the same thing. And so, yeah, it really does work, you guys. In fact, it doesn't just work on you. You can extend that protection to your home, to your vehicle, to your family members, all of these things. So you can actually extend that big bubble of protection for anybody that you feel really needs it, whether they're around you or not. So if you've got a kid that's going to college in Australia and you're in the States, you can still extend that protection to them and it will work. Deanne says, I found and watched a Netflix show yesterday called Resident Alien. I had my remote spirit release last night and there was a lizard. Did I give my consent by watching that show? Well, to be honest, I do feel that a lot of our attachments come through the television. My mom needed a clearing the other day, and when I asked where she got it, she got it from the freaking news. So I told her, I was like, Mom, you have to stop watching the news. Like, this is where you're getting attachments. I said, I have to pull a favor every time I have to clear you. So stop looking for attachments by watching the news. And my mom's like, no. She's like, I'm always going to watch the news, Laura. And I was like, oh. So watching TV, yeah, you do pick up attachments. Resident Alien, though, you got to understand something, that these TV shows are not designed for giving people attachments. Do you know what's designed for giving people attachments? Shows like Law and Order, okay? The shows that express fear, the shows that try and make you afraid, okay? Those are the ones that open attachments, because if you think about it, you're expressing fear. You're watching something that will leave you feeling emotionally shaken. And if you feel emotionally shaken, then you've opened the door, okay? But if you think about it, Resident Alien has nothing to do with fear. That's a comedy. So Resident Alien is not about fear or by, spreading attachments. It's more about soft disclosure and mocking people like us who are talking about these things all the time. Because there's tons of Resident Aliens here. Tons of them. And so they don't want us to, they're basically just mocking us with stuff like that. And so, yeah, I would not consider it to be something that's going to be dangerous, okay? But like I said, watching the news, yeah, the news is. So you are far more likely to pick up attachments from watching the news than you are from watching a comedy show. Because if you're watching a comedy show and you're laughing, you're in high vibration. So out of all the things that you watch, you should be watching comedy, because if it makes you laugh, then it's making you feel good. And if it's making you feel good, then you're raising your vibration. It's the stuff that doesn't make you feel good, the stuff that makes you feel inadequate, the stuff that makes you feel, like humanity is a mess. All that low vibe shit. Stuff like Jersey Shore, for example. That is just low vibe stuff. It feels like, if it makes you feel like you're dropping your IQ by watching it, then yeah, this is the kind of stuff that they're putting out for a reason. But you got to remember, there's a lot of shows they're putting out there for the purpose of soft disclosure. That's what Stargate was. The entire Stargate series, then Star Trek as well. All of those are for soft disclosure. Star Wars, Star Trek, Stargate, all three, soft disclosure, 100%. So, yeah, most of our alien TV shows, including Ancient Aliens, that's all there to kind of deflect from the truth. It's like they know the truth is going to come out, so they want to get ahead of it and start mixing in stuff to make it more confusing. So, yes, thrillers are a big one. Anything horror, anything that's like that do jump scares. Jump scares are a big one, you guys. Jump scares open portals. Because if you think about it, right, you're literally acting as if you just got something attacking you. Anytime that you jump like that, that is when you are quite literally creating a bubble of fear around yourself. So it was funny. My parents, they went to a movie. They went to go and see a comedy in theaters. This was maybe 2 months ago. And they told me how pissed off they were after the end of the movie because of the previews before the movie. They said the previews before the movie ruined the movie. And I was like, how is that possible? And it's because they got him with like 4 jump scares before that. Because they were promoting horror films. I don't know if it's because it was maybe it was back in October, November. That might have actually been that long ago now that I'm thinking about it. So that's probably why they had so many horrors in the previews. But just doing that made them so, shaken that they didn't get to enjoy the rest of the movie. It ruined their vibe before the movie even began. That's what they're designed for. They're designed to scare you, to lower your vibration, and to leave you susceptible to whatever is going to be in the movie. So, yeah, don't ever watch horror movies. I know some of you love horror movies. And if the movie doesn't scare you, if it makes you feel excited, if it makes you laugh, and it makes you, kind of, I have friends that are like that. It doesn't do that to me. If it makes me jump and it makes me moody, I don't watch it. You know what I mean? So this is why I have no interest in horror films. But I have other friends of mine that I've known many, many years who laugh their butt off at horror movies, and they like to pick out all the little inconsistencies, and they like to laugh about making dumb decisions and stuff like that. And to them, a horror movie is a comedy, because they have such a dark sense of humor. And that's still okay, I think. In my opinion, I don't know this for sure, but if you're laughing at it, if you're not actually scared, then I don't think it's as detrimental as if somebody, it's kind of like if you hate roller coasters, but your friends talk you into going on the roller coaster. Of course, you're not going to have fun. But if you love roller coasters and they don't scare you and they only make you excited and happy, then yeah, that's fine, right? Because you're not expressing that fear. So it's really just down to what you can handle and what you like and what lowers your vibration or not, because you're going to know whether or not it makes you feel good or whether or not it makes you feel bad. Steph's talking about Evil Dead. I love the Evil Dead movies. I used to watch a lot more horror than I did. I used to watch the funny horror movies, though, like the dark humor type of stuff. So Evil Dead, Bruce Campbell is the man. I love Bruce Campbell. I will watch Bruce Campbell movies any day. But that's why they're not horror movies to me. I laugh at them. So that's a good example, actually. I used to love horror too back in the day, Patrick. I like the Scream movies, and I Know What You Did Last Summer and all that shit. Back as a teenager, I loved it. But then again, I was also scaring the shit out of me too. So it was like some people do kind of like getting scared, and I was one of those people where I would be like, "Whoo," like something got me and it gave me goosebumps, and I'm like, "Whoo," So it wasn't actually like bad for me, but over the years, I ended up not liking it. So really, it's just down to what you can handle. If you've desensitized yourself enough, this is the thing. because some of us have really desensitized ourselves over the years. You know, certain things that used to scare the shit out of us as kids. I don't know about you guys, but it was the Pet Cemetery movies that got me the most. I used to sneak downstairs. My parents would go to bed really early, like 9 o'clock at night sometimes, because they were, you know, we lived on a farm and people that work outside are exhausted by 9 o'clock. So they'd be in bed at like 8:30, 9 o'clock, and I'd be wide awake. So I would go downstairs and I'd sneak downstairs to watch a movie or something. And oh my God, I made such a bad decision once watching Pet Cemetery because I'm like, oh, cool. See, I saw red eyes out every window every night when I was trying to go to bed. I would see red eyes looking in at me after watching that movie. And growing up on a farm, we had dead animals buried everywhere. There were dead pets everywhere. So that was the dumbest thing I think I did as a child. Sneaking downstairs to watch that. But you never know. Sometimes, like, I love how Keisha's talking about. She says, I remember seeing part of the birds when I was little and I was horrified. Yeah. See, the birds was also. But see, this is what I mean, though. Like, we humans, I feel like we do kind of like getting scared sometimes because it does kind of make us feel more alive, I guess. So I'm not against the whole horror genre. I just think that the reason they make horror movies in Hollywood is because of this whole entity thing. Like, if you think about it, much of what they create through their movies that are not real in the movies, they end up creating in the astral because people end up believing it or thinking about it later on. So anything that they put in a movie, even though in the movie it's just some guy wearing makeup, later on, there's going to be an astral counterpart that looks exactly like the guy in the makeup because somebody watching the movie thought, okay, that looks real to me. So then they go home and have a nightmare and thinking about it. And sure enough, you end up finding whatever boogeyman they created in the movie is now in the astral. Well, this is why. Because humans have such a crazy, vivid imagination. And we create things around us all the time. This is part of the reason why the ETs have us in a quarantine, guys. So until we start getting rid of the, the unconscious manifestations through our fears, they don't want us to leave the planet because they don't want us, manifesting Chucky on another planet. You know what I mean? Like, they want to keep Chucky here. They don't want us, bringing Chucky to Arcturus or wherever else. They don't want Chucky and Tegeta. Next thing you know, there's going to be a Chucky Goes to Space movie. Exactly, Michelle. That's so funny. I was just visualizing what an alien Chucky would look like. And I was making myself crack up like a Yoda from hell. Aaron says, my porcelain doll did move. You do realize what those Victorian dolls, you do understand that many Victorian dolls look that way for a reason, right? There's a lot of Victorian doll, and I say Victorian, but I'm pretty sure it goes back even further than that, where they actually use dolls for housing spirits. That's what part of the reason was and why there's so many children that attach to dolls as earthbounds. This is quite a thing, actually. Especially because back in the day, they would make dolls out of people that died. They would make a mini doll of them, like using their real hair and stuff. Yeah. Yeah. That's part of it. I was attacked in the middle of the night by a man who came into our home. I had my own real life scary movie, and I will never watch a scary movie. Holy shit. See? This is one of those things where, this is... I'm sorry you went through that. I don't even know what to say, to be honest. But this is what I mean. This planet is not an easy place to be, if you know what I mean. We all have to be on our guard, no matter, where we live, really, because there's opportunists everywhere, unfortunately. Chantal says, porcelain dolls creep me out big time. The ones that creep me out really big time was clowns. I don't know what it is, but those clowns they used to have back in the 80s, the modern clowns aren't so bad. It's the old clowns that look like they were crying. You know what I'm talking about? Those ones. Those ones scared the shit out of me as a kid. I don't know how. It makes you wonder, like, where the phobia of clowns comes from. Unless you were murdered by a clown, it doesn't really make sense. Like, I wonder what that is and why so many people have phobia of clowns. Maybe there's just a bunch of murderous clowns back in the day. we remember it. I'm just reading through the comments. The mid-century modern clowns are, yeah, those are the ones I'm talking about. Jack in the Box, those ones, yes, I remember those as well. Lisa says, I don't like the Cabbage Patch dolls either. That's funny. My grandparents got me a Cabbage Patch doll when I was like 3 years old. And then every Christmas after that, I would get, or it was at my birthday, I can't remember. But every year after I got the Cabbage Patch doll, they would give me a matching dress. They would give me a dress to fit, and then they would have a matching Cabbage Patch dress for my doll. And that was my grandmother's big project that she would work on, is getting us matching dresses. And yeah. They were the dresses with the bibs. Do you guys remember those? Anybody ever have a dress like that with the bib? Back in the 80s, do you remember those? So I have a different horror story with my Cabbage Patch doll. Wasn't there a movie with clowns coming out of the sewers? Yes, Nancy, that was it. And I didn't see it until I was in my 20s. So no, that was not the reason why. So I don't know. Who knows? My aunt used to collect those old clowns, put them in every corner of her house. I never felt scared with them, but definitely didn't want to interact or play with them. That's interesting, Summer. Makes you wonder where our fascination with clowns came from. I'm pretty sure that the original clowns, like turn of the century clowns, were making fun of Irish people. I'm pretty sure I heard that correctly, which is why they had the white face with the crazy red hair. They were kind of making fun of Irish people back in the day. I wonder if that's true or not. I heard that once. Ariana says, "Did you wear them, Laura?" Which I missed the context of that one, honey. Oh, the dresses you probably meant. Yeah, they made me. And if you notice, you'll never see me in a dress now, like almost ever. I went to a born again Christian academy and I had to wear dresses every day. So, you'll never really see me in a dress now for that reason. I got all my dress wearing out of my system when I was prepubescent. Nope. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt. Nope. Hi, David. I didn't see you were here. Hi, nice to see you, bud. David says, Rockabye Baby, London Bridge, those were designed to put portals in children's head at a very young age. Yep. No disagreement there. Well, some of the songs that we used to sing back in the day were really, I mean, Ring Around the Rosie is not a nice song. Just for the record. For those of you who do not know, some of our some of our rhymes back in the day were pretty dark, and you didn't even yeah, exactly. You didn't even realize how dark it was. I've been chatting for an hour now. Look at that. Any of you guys have any questions while I'm sitting here rambling on? I was gonna try and keep it to an hour so I could do some more clearings with Katie today. I used to be scared of my mom's picture painting of an Edwardian woman in a boat. I used to feel like the woman was real and trapped in the painting. I found it so horrifying. I think a spirit was attached to it. It's now in the loft. Interesting. Really interesting, Jasmine. You know, this is the thing. When we create art, we put energy into things. We don't even realize it. And sometimes we can sense the energy that other people have put into things, which is why art can be so emotionally triggering. You know, when you see certain, like there's a painting that I saw a couple weeks ago that somebody, have you ever seen the painting of the woman floating? She's on her back and she's floating in like a pond or something. I forget what it was based on. But there was a story about how this young woman ended up getting pneumonia and dying from being the what is it? The subject of the painting. And so whenever people see that painting, they feel like an eerie feeling. And that's why, is because, there's a lot that goes into this art that we may not be noticing, through our visual sense, but through our intuition or through our emotional body, we end up picking up things. So always listen to that. If there's anything that gives you the EBGBs, there is a reason for it. Oh, thank you for saying that, Jacob. Jacob says my rambles are the best. Love you. Thanks for saying that. Yes, Ring Around the Rosie was started because of the plague. Yep, that's why. Pocket full of posy. I used to be scared of members. Oh, associate. I'm just reading through, making sure I didn't miss anything. Will you be going out in the full moon tonight? I didn't even know it is a full moon. Seriously? I'm gonna have to check. It is. When does it switch over? Let me check. So I have this app that I use on my phone. It's really, really great. It's called Moon X. So if you type into the App Store, you type in Moon X, and you get all these goodies. They tell you all kinds of really great stuff. They tell you about the energies. They tell you really great affirmations. So yeah, it will be a full moon tomorrow at 8 p.m. But obviously we're still dealing with the energies before then, since it's so the moon will be in Libra. So there's going to be a lot of energy today, you guys. And it's also, you might be drained very quickly because of it. So make sure that you guys drink a lot of water. Maybe go and ground yourself. I don't know if you guys have good weather, but if you can even just spend a few minutes walking around in the grass or the dirt, it'll help. Because keep in mind that full moon energy is quite intense energy. I used to work in a hospital, and we always knew that the energy of the full moon was going to bring in more people. Our busiest night of the week. And even in South Africa, what we call a full moon, we actually called it poacher's moon, because it was so bright that's when the poachers come out. They don't need to use any form of light. So full moons are chaos time, unfortunately. So just be aware of this and take extra considerations for your spiritual hygiene, for your psychic protection, for making sure that you're cleansed and all of that. And if you get a chance to meditate, or to even just have a bath, just give yourself a nice salt bath today, okay? And to get rid of some of that excess energy that's going to be bouncing all over the place. Ray says, what should we do if we see a person with black eyes or a face shifting? No, I don't recommend hitting them with a bat, Ray. I think one of the best things that you can do is call in your spirit team. I saw a woman the other day. I was in a grocery store, and this woman was really angry and aggressive for no reason. Like, she was getting mad with the machine, and then she put her bag on her shoulder, and then she started looking everywhere. Like, she was like looking like this, and I'm like, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "I can't find my bag," and I'm like, "The one on your shoulder?" And she looked at me like I was an ass. Looked at her arm, looked at her shoulder, realized the bag was on her shoulder, and then got mad at me for pointing it out. She's like, "Oh yeah, sure, it is." She got mad and she left. And the first thing she did when she turned her back and walked away, I was like, Chad, hello? My team? Yeah. Go clear that lady. I could tell she needed a clearing immediately. So whenever you see somebody out, it doesn't hurt to call in your team and ask them, because every single one of you has multiple guides. And many of you may actually be in training for this kind of work down the road. And so if that's the case, you never know unless you try. Call in your team and just say, "Hey, yeah, get them." It's like, this is what I was telling my guys this morning. Like, we realize that we're not the ones doing the clearing, but we are the scouts. We are the ones that are going in there with our little laser pointer and being like, right there, that's the spot, go get it. So, you can still do that when you're out in public. You can still pretend you have your little laser pointer and you're calling in the big guns. You're calling in reinforcements. So you can get, like as Michelle says, you can give your spirit team tasks. And many of them, they love these tasks. If you say something like, can you protect me tonight while I sleep? Or can you take me to the healing place tonight when I sleep? Or can you look after my little one? He's going to be learning swimming today. My little guy is learning swimming at the high school today. He's so, so excited about it. Mr. Big Boy is getting in the bus to go to the school and learn from the high school kids how to swim. He is so, so happy about it. So I just say, hey, look after my little man while he's learning how to swim today. That's the only real intention you need to set. And they'll be like, okay, we're on it. So make sure that you're setting that intention. You have to ask them. Remember that every day is a new day. Okay. So just because you ask for help on a Monday doesn't mean you're going to get it on Wednesday, because Wednesday is a new day. So every day you have to set your intention. Every day you have to redo your protections. So it's really important. And if you are using protections around your house, like I was explaining during class, that I have a turret that I have in my living room. And I give my energy to this turret every day. I visualize the turret in my head, and I visualize energy going into this turret to refuel it and to repower that energy. And every day that I do that, it gets stronger and stronger. So for those of you who are, just working on your meditation, it doesn't have to take an hour every day. You can do your 4 grounding and protection techniques. You can do your cleansing of your energy, of other people's energy. You can set the intention for protection. All of this takes 15 minutes. And then you're good for the whole rest of the day. Until the evening, when you want to cleanse yourself again, you set the intention to cleanse yourself again. You call in your team to cleanse you, or you can get selenite, or you can smudge yourself, or you can burn some Palo Santo, or you can put some fresh essential oils on. But at night, it's a good idea to try to refresh your protections and what you're doing, your cleansings and stuff at night, because throughout the day, we do tend to give up a lot of our attention and energy to other things. And so, the more you put your intention to these things, the stronger your protections will get. And it's funny too, because we did a clearing on somebody the other day, and they had the residual energy of a 3. So whenever there's a residual energy and we didn't cleanse it, sometimes we go back. We actually do this quite often, where we go back and check to see if they come back later after the clearing that was scheduled that they knew about. And so we have caught out. What's funny is that one of our clients the other day, we said, okay, there was residual energy, so we're going to go back and check in a few days to see. And then when we went back to check him, we struggled to even find him because he put extra protections in place. He did a really, really amazing job taking our advice. It was so good that there was nothing touching him coming back. So this is what I mean. Like, some of you are already doing really, really well with your protections, but you can always boost them. So there's always more that you could be doing. Andy wants to know, is anyone going to Sephora's meditation class on Thursday? I have joined Sephora's class. Yes. My frustration is that I booked something at the exact same time Thursday. So I'm going to have to catch the replay from Thursday, but I will see you in class that next Thursday, Andy. So yes, I did join Sephora's meditation class, and I'm very excited about it. I just wish that I wasn't so fully booked and scheduled right now. It's a little hard to juggle all of this stuff going on. Also, I was calling in some pieces that were left, and I was downstairs with my son, and we heard a loud noise from upstairs, and the curtain rod in my room fell, and it was so bright. Interesting. Sounds like you've had quite a bit of excitement in your house lately, Erin. Yes, Jennifer, turrets and flamethrowers. What a fun idea. It really does work. But if you don't want to use technology in your home, if you don't want to visualize a turret like I do, I just do that because I play Call of Duty. So I have the Call of Duty reference in my head. I was actually playing Call of Duty and I laughed and I'm like, wow, this would be really nice to have in my house. And then I was like, cha-ching, you can have it in your house, duh. So, and what's funny is I used to feel bad for playing Call of Duty because Andy was talking about how much people are susceptible to these things, but I use it in a different way. Like whenever people, you know, what's funny is I use it in a way where I have fun. Like I'm always constantly laughing. And whenever I come across somebody who's really angry in that game, I always talk to them like, "Are you okay? Like, do you need a hug? Are you all right?" And I'm actually helping people feel better on there. I've been helping quite a lot of people on there with their stuff, with their personal stuff. So it's like even while I'm gaming, I'm still working. It's kind of funny. But it's also good because, you know, it's funny. The Taygеттans also play Call of Duty. That was something I was really surprised about. When Maurice Photo was talking about Call of Duty references, I laughed my butt off. I was like, oh my God, the Taygеттans are up there playing Call of Duty. But I'm not surprised considering they're up there bored on their ship. Like, what else are they really supposed to do but play video games when they're not allowed to come down here? So funny. Thank you for helping her out, by the way, Andy. Very nice of you. Yeah, you're going to have, if you want to come into Sephora's meditations, I believe she's got a spot or two open. So you just have to message her. You can private message me and I'll send you her link. So I'm just reading through. Make sure I didn't miss anything. David plays Mario Kart. That is adorable, David. I do play games with Aiden too, I must say. We played a lot of Spyro together. Did you guys ever play Spyro? We're still playing Spyro. Aiden and I love playing Spyro together. Assassin's Creed is awesome. The Assassin's Creed with the Greek mythology is the best one though. Odyssey. Oh man, the amount of played Odyssey. It's unbelievable. Cosmic Agency did a video saying the Archangels brought up a Coca-Cola vending machine for decoration on the ship. Are you serious? I missed that one. Well, the funny thing is they have a tractor beam. So anything they really want to bring up from Earth, they can. So really, the Taygеттans just have a whole bunch of five-finger discounts that they use. Thank you, Daniela. Daniela just sent me the promos. Love you, Daniela. You're the best. So Monday in Astara today at 1:11 p.m. EST. So set your alarm today, guys. You don't want to miss this. Lloyd Jones will be doing Magical Mindful Monday. So you don't want to miss Lloyd. I watched half of the Hash Malim video, by the way, Ariana. I have to watch the other half of it today. Some of the stuff in there, I was just like, what are they even talking about? It went over my head a little bit. So I have to rewatch the beginning. I think I don't know. I just didn't even, it was hard to absorb some of that. I need to rewatch it with my full attention today. The Hash Malim video she's talking about is about the Taygetan Special Forces. If you guys go on Cosmic Agency on YouTube, there is a new video talking about their actual special forces that they use. The Hash Malim, where they basically come down here like Navy SEALs, to carry out certain missions in stealth. And then they usually end up giving the credit to somebody else when they've done something. But they're the ones that go down into these bunkers and rescue a bunch of children and stuff and all the other things that our troops actually end up using sometimes and getting benefits from. Let's see. Just want to make sure I'm not forgetting anything. Okay, cool. Nope, it's just the one thing for today. Thank you very much, Daniela, for that. You know what? I'm going to highlight David's comment because I totally agree with you. David says, I highly recommend Sacred Sundays with Danielle and Christopher. They're life-changing. Amen to that, David. And wait, did you say that? Oh, yeah, see? There we go. I was looking at the time. They were just saying they come down in battle to help the light. Well, as we learned, we're getting quite a few reinforcements coming down here. Because before, this whole planet had so much negativity and dark energy that the only people that could really come down here are the starseeds. And they had to be specific types of starseeds because some of them couldn't handle coming down here because it was so painful for them. Remember what Dolores said, that sometimes having such a high frequency, trying to come down into such a low frequency is not easy to do. Like, for example, like, I forget who it was that she was explaining, but it was basically, she said that it's like trying to fit a tornado into a shot glass. Like, that's the wide breadth of the energy at that available, and it comes and gets funneled down to this tiny little human body that can handle only like 1% of its max energy. You know what I mean? So it's like little tiny pieces have to come in and fit, and then we have to raise our vibration in order to download more. And it's not easy. This is why we have to do it kind of slowly, working our way up. And this is something that many people are actually starting to work through now, is because the more we raise the frequency, the more other higher frequency beings can come in here. Because if you guys remember, if the frequency is too low, they can't come in. They get, like, quite literally, they get sick. So with us doing the dirty work of raising the frequency, it makes it easier for high vibe, high frequency reinforcements to come in. Yeah, don't worry about it. Like I said, just message me and I'll take care of that for you. You got to message Sephora on her Facebook page or in her email, and I've got both. So just message me if you're interested in joining her class on Thursday. Do any of the people that get rescued from the underground bunkers ever speak out? Yes, they have. Quite a few times. But I think that many of them are actually often, what's the word? I think they get taken off world, some of them. I don't think that they get, if you've been abducted and put into some deep underground bunker and then you all of a sudden get saved by Tagetan forces, I don't think they try and reinsert you into your previous, situation. I have a feeling they basically remove you. There's lots of other places that we can go. It's just that those are very, very, very special circumstances. Yes, it is, Jasmine. She wants to know if the class is online. Yes, it is. It's an online class. I heard that's why they created the small gray, so they could come down into our dense energy. 100%, Ray. Yep. Many of the grays that came here, the ones that, like, for example, the Zeta Reticulans, they're organic robots, basically. They have a hive mind consciousness, and they basically they're like organic robots. And they have a certain thing, that they're set to do. And most of them are here as kind of like gardeners, where they're here to monitor the planet. For 13,000 years, ever since all of that Atlantean drama happened, there haven't been many ETs that come here because of the quarantine, because of how deeply rooted some of these lower frequencies have been. So, yeah, that's why, it's one of the reasons why the only ETs that were really coming here were beings that had no choice, they didn't really have anywhere else to go. I'm talking about some of the indigenous peoples. Like, for example, when they were rescued and brought underground during the Great Flood, they were told, there's a great flood coming, and they said you have to go underground. And so, like, for example, the Hopi, I believe it was the Hopi, were told they had to go underground, and then they were saved by the ant people underground. Well, that's why. They did know the flood was going to happen, because when Tiamat was destroyed and all of that water was coming, yeah, they could see the water was coming. So they did have a chance to warn people before these mass floods occurred. Chantal says, can they come get me, please? I just had to laugh because I was seeing my lighter. This is the lighter I've been using the last few days. So take me with you. I've been having kind of a laugh every time I light something. But, we came down here for a reason. Many of you are not even here on Earth. I just saw one of the people commenting that's listening to me right now, and you're on Arcturus right now. You're billions of light years away from us right now. Just because you rerouted your consciousness from your other body into an NPC body down here doesn't mean you're actually down here. And I find that to be really funny. So all you pod people, all you pod people are not down here. You're somewhere up in high orbit, or you're billions of light years away from Earth, even some of you. So the starseeds have no idea where they actually are. Many of us are in much higher frequencies. We're just drone pilots, basically. Does that mean the person here isn't real? No, it doesn't mean that at all. It just means that you're using a different avatar, that you're borrowing that avatar from the Matrix, basically. Because most of us that are starseeds, we ended up having to take a different body. You know what I mean? Like, you can't come down here with your ET body. You have to come through a human body. And so it's like the movie The Avatar, where they basically, the Avatar, no, it is just Avatar. Yeah, where it's like when they put you inside one of those big pods and they reroute your consciousness from a human body to an extraterrestrial body. It's exactly the same thing, only in reverse. So, but this is why so many starseeds have abduction, stuff that they remember. Sometimes they forget and they don't realize they've been abducted, but many of them do remember they've been abducted. And that's part of the reason why they let you keep the memory of it, is because they want you to know that you've been visited by your star family. So they let you keep those memories on purpose. So if you remember being abducted, there's a reason you remember it. Otherwise, they wouldn't let you. They wouldn't let you remember it. Exactly, Michelle. It's maintenance. They're keeping a close eye on all of their starseeds because every single one of you are a very important asset. I guarantee every single one of you that are listening right now is a very important asset to somebody, whether or not it's someone that you're here helping. There's lots of starseeds that are helping other humans raise their consciousness. It could be that you're here helping to ground those frequencies that are coming here, that are hitting the planet all the time and trying to raise the vibration. That's another thing, Michelle. I forgot about that. Or not Chantal, that's right. It was that many of you have good implants. Because I'll say, are there any implants? And they'll be like, well, actually there is, but one of them's okay. And we're like, what do you mean one of them's okay? And they'll be like, well, it was a good implant. It's a tracker from their own from their own star families, so they don't lose track of them. The Tagetans don't have to do this, though, because they have your frequency code. Every single one of you has a frequency that you are coded to. It is your frequency and nobody else's. And so many of the starseeds don't even need implants because that's like a thing of the past. That's what they used to do. Now technology has evolved to the point where once they have your frequency, they can pick you up anywhere in space or time. So if, God forbid, some ET were to come down here, grab one of their starseeds, and then take them into another dimension or another reality, they could still find you just by having your frequency code. So it's much more effective than having an actual, like an implant, even if it's an etheric one. Any other questions? I don't remember the first 7 years of my life. Well, maybe that's when you took your body. That very well could be when you came down and to use that avatar. Yep. I would bet my money on it. If you were in a pod, do you still get to see your parents when you pass? You could see whoever you want. Because technically, even if you're in a pod, doesn't mean that you won't know where your family is. They still have those frequency codes. So, for example, Aiden, I found out, is in a pod. And when he passes on, this actually makes me feel so much better. I got to tell you. When I found out that Aiden is also in a pod, I felt so much better because now I don't have to worry about him. I can be like, okay, as soon as he passes on, whenever that's going to be, he's going to wake up in his main body anyway. So he's not going to have to worry about the whole reincarnation cycle, being an earthbound, going through all that stress of making sure that he gets through to the light and then finding out whether or not he's going to be stuck in the reincarnation cycle of Earth. Because, yeah, you can end up getting stuck. This is why people call it a prison planet. But it's through us getting ourselves stuck. It's like the path you choose can lead you to quicksand where you kind of get stuck. So it is kind of like that. Like, you have your free will on this planet, but you can also choose to give it away and to go through a whole lot of other shit as part of the learning process. So dying here on Earth is complicated. And this is one of the reasons why so many spirits refuse to cross over into the light. There was one lady that Dr. Palmer was clearing, and she had 20-something earthbounds on her. And every single one of those earthbounds was an extraterrestrial. And he was like, what are you guys doing here? Like, that was what Palmer asked them. He's like, why are you guys here attached to this woman? And they're just kind of roaming the planet. Like, they didn't even realize they were kind of attaching to people. They're just kind of roaming around together. And he's like, why didn't you cross over? Why are you still here? And they said, well, we crash landed on Earth and we don't want to be stuck in Earth's reincarnation cycle. So we're not going to the light. We do not want to reincarnate as humans here on Earth. So Dr. Palmer had to not only open a portal of light, but he had to open a portal to their home world first. So he called in, I don't know who it was that he called in, I don't remember, but he called in a very powerful being, and this being opened a doorway so they could go home to their home planet first, and then cross over to the light on that side of the portal. Because if they crossed over into the light here, they would have to reincarnate and choose a human body here on Earth, but they didn't want to do that. So they would rather float around for thousands of years as like this big ball of energy attaching to people, because they didn't want to separate from one another either. So they would constantly just kind of roam around attaching to people. And then when that person dies, they just attach to somebody else. And they kept doing that for forever. Rather than because they were adamant about not being reincarnated as a human. And I'm like, wow, is it really that bad? Like, damn, they would rather roam the earth as an earthbound for thousands of years rather than be a human. But hey, I mean, if you have your preferences, to each their own, I guess. Ariana says, do they ever crash their crafts on purpose to give us access to their technology so we can advance and figure it out? No. Unfortunately, I don't. If they really wanted to give us technology, they could just leave it somewhere. They don't have to crash. You know what I mean? They could just be like, hey. And the funny thing is, a lot of our government, why do you think we have things like tablets and flat screen TVs? Do you think we came up with that on our own? No. We have either traded stuff, because our government trades things with ETs all the time. They trade technology for God knows what all the time. They do it with the reptilians. They do it with the Matra Greys. They do it with all kinds of other beings like the Atorphins and God knows who else that they're working with, which are those big nose Greys. So the thing is, right, back in the day, some ships used to be very easy to crash. Like those back in the 40s and 50s, they had to change their ships that they bring here to Earth, okay? Because back in the day, especially if you saw those the flying saucer looking ones that they used to use, those hover on the Earth's magnetosphere. Okay, so it looks kind of, when you see them floating, they don't sit in one spot. They kind of hover, right? Well, it's because they're like a bee. They're floating on the Earth's magnetic field. They're using the Earth's magnetic field, so it kind of looks like a ship that's bouncing on water, right? Well, what happens is that the government knows that with sonar, they can knock them down. So if you're floating in that frequency, if you're floating on the Earth's magnetosphere, all they have to do is give them a really strong blast of sonar and it knocks them out. It knocks their ship down. So that's why they got so many Greys back in the day. Those poor Greys, they got so many of them back in the day by doing that, by taking down their ships. Through those, just by blasting it with sound frequency. Isn't that crazy? So now they had to change all of their ships, and you don't see the flying saucers anymore. Well, that's why, because the flying saucers were easy to take down. So now they have to use ships that are much more advanced so our government can't take them down. Because if our government sees a ship that's being, that they could take, they will take advantage of it 100%. That's where they've gotten so much of their technology, is by not letting the ETs know that they have found ways of knocking them down. But things do happen. Like if you remember about a week ago, the Tagetans, that wasn't the Tagetans, but it was one of the Antarians. The Antarians are one of the Tagetans' allies. They're also humans. You know, the Tagetans are like the blondes, the very light skin. The Antarians are the white people with the black hair, darker skinned features, that sort of thing. So they're very closely related, although they grew up on different planets. So the Antarians were the ones that crashed their ship in Texas like 2 weeks ago, and the Tagetans had to do a rescue mission to go and get them back. So they do crash sometimes. How they crashed, they didn't say. So who knows? But there are still ET crashes that they are they're very quick about going and retrieving their own ships, though. So they can retrieve a downed vessel within minutes. So nowadays, the government doesn't get as many opportunities to steal technology as they would appreciate. Does our government give sacrifices to the demonic entities? Well, that's what I thought it was for, to give those sacrifices. Yeah. Yep. And there's certain days that they tend to do those sacrifices more than others. Like March 22nd, 322. If you know anything about 322 and the whole Nazi era, you'll understand why March 22nd. May 15th is a big one of their Illuminati days. I call it Illuminati Day. May 15th is a big one for them. There's almost always some kind of a dark sacrifice on May 15th. Same with the summer solstice. They like to do a lot of messed up stuff. But just keep in mind that the reason they do these things is because it's a very powerful day energetically. So they're trying to basically mess with the frequency. So if something like they did with the lunar eclipse, sorry, the solar eclipse, right? Solar eclipse is coming down here to help raise. Coming down here is the whole point of the solar eclipse basically is to help raise the frequency of the earth. But that's why they turn CERN on that day, to kind of counteract those frequencies. So on days where we have these big planetary alignments and stuff like that, that's what they do, is they try to counteract those important alignments through some kind of a sacrificial attack. Or this is why poor Gaza has been razed to the ground, because so many of their sacrifices come out of war zones. So you'll notice that on some of their days, there's going to be a lot more drone attacks and oopses, like when Obama oopsed and accidentally blew up a whole bus full of Yemeni children. That was a big oops. Well, it just so happened to fall on one of their Illuminati days. That was not an oops. They'll just say it is afterward and be like, oh, sorry, we didn't mean to kill all those children. Well, yeah, you did, because you did it on a certain day that is a major sacrifice day. You know what I mean? And they just say, oh, sorry, we didn't mean that. So they get away with those things all the time. But like I said, they'll just blame it as a side effect of war or something like that. But then, you do end up having a lot happens here in the States as well. Not to name any names, but you guys probably know what I'm talking about. But those things happen on certain dates for a reason too. So, I heard they may be reptilian ships, but I may be wrong. The reptilian ships are the ones that look like cigarette shaped. Yes, the cigar shaped ships are reptilian ships. Yep. So if you look up and you see like a cigar shaped one, yeah, that's a Lizzie boat. That's what I call them, Lizzie boats. Yep. But if you see any like UFOs, like the flying saucer ones, there's still a lot that do end up using those. They just adapted their technology so they don't knock them down as easy anymore. Pretty sure there's beam ships and stuff that they use. So like the beam ships, for example, like the Tegetans use, they do still use them. They just use them very sparingly for a reason, because like I said, they like to use the UFOs mainly now just so people recognize that it's a UFO, because the whole flying saucer thing has kind of become synonymous with it. And when we see something that doesn't look like a flying saucer, like one of those cigar shaped ones, we often think that it's just our military. Nope. Nope. That is not our, well, I guess it's somebody's military anyway. I saw a really cool one once. The power was out. I was living in New Jersey along the beach. I had it's a long story, but I had like a little hotel room thing that I was renting out long term. And I looked out because all the power was out and there was nothing that you could see. Like it was pitch dark everywhere. So I'm like, whatever. So I opened up my window, puffing a joint out the window, and I'm looking up and I see this massive. Have you guys ever seen the movie Contact with Jodie Foster? Have you ever seen the contraption that they built to teleport somebody, where it was like a circular thing in the middle, and then it was surrounded by rings, and the rings were moving like this in the movie Contact? I saw that gyrosphere. I saw it in the sky. I saw it bright as day. It was massive. It had a big, whatever the thing was in the middle, it was really bright. and it would look like it was almost like a flame or something because I saw it flickering and moving, and I could still see it. And that was the reason why I could tell that it was like a gyrosphere. It was moving super fast too. And I was looking out the window, looking up at it going, what the hell is that? And as I said that, it went gone. Like I literally just watched it streak across the sky and it was gone. And that's what really confirmed to me that I was like, holy shit, that is not something normal. So you just never know what's out there. And anytime that you see something, try and take photos of it. But even if you can't, draw something. Try and visualize it in your head and then draw it on a piece of paper and see if that helps. So anyway, I've been rambling for an hour and a half. I suppose I should let you guys get on with your day. It's so much fun to chat with you and to hang out. David said, I was camping in Death Valley during the COVID shutdown and saw a huge red and green fireball come down close to me. A couple hours later, a cigar-shaped craft with white lights came along. Oh, interesting. See, this is the thing. Like, our skies are so busy. There's so many beings up there all the time. And many of them are not even bothering to cloak themselves like they used to. You guys ever remember those trumpets? Do you guys remember the sky trumpets that we heard years ago? I literally saw something in the sky when I was hearing those sky trumpets once. And it looked like a really weird shaped thing. It was like a circle in the sky. And like you could see a hole in the middle of it. So, and I was just thinking about it because of the gyrosphere thing. I've seen so bunches. That was in England, though. Do you guys remember the trumpets? That was a weird one. Where they were literally like these deafening trumpets that came out of nowhere. And everybody was like, what the hell is that? If you've never heard them, Google sky trumpets and you'll see what I mean. Weirdest thing. Let's see. What am I missing? I'm just laughing at Leanne's comment. I would rather see that than the Lizzie faces on people. Freaked me out. Yeah, well, that's the thing. People are going to start realizing there's a lot more on this planet when they can see it. That people are going to start seeing a lot more. Yeah, they say a lot of things. Somebody said they said it was Gabriel's horn. No, this is the thing. Who knows what it is? I think the Pagans talked about it a little bit, but I can't remember. I'm going to have to go and check. I'm curious if they said anything about it. But this is what I mean. I think that things have been ramping up for quite a while now, and we just don't realize it because we get gaslighted into things like, oh, it's just swamp gas, So much is being seen, but people don't want to talk about it because they don't want to be called crazy. So anyway, I love you guys. Like I said, I'm just sitting here rambling. I will let you guys go do your thing. I will see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. I have a lovely guest who's coming on that Christopher is messaging me about. Oh, no, that's a different thing. Okay, cool. So tomorrow I have a guest who's really lovely. Her name is Patty Oliver. You guys will love Patty. And then yeah, we've got a whole bunch of really cool stuff going on this week. So I will keep you guys updated. Oh, Friday, I have an event with Chen coming. We're having a Chen chat in membership. So if you guys have questions for Chen that you would like me to ask, we can make this about whatever you guys want. If there's certain questions that you guys want to ask Chen, let me know. I was going to ask I know some of you had a really good question about the archangels and a few other things. So I might ask some of those questions this time if you guys would like. So yeah, if you have any interesting questions that you would like to know, I'll make a post and you guys can comment on that. What time is your 10 in Arizona? I'm EST. So right now for me, it is almost 12 o'clock. It's 11:45 basically. So I believe you're 2 hours later than me then. Maybe 3, depending on where you are in Arizona. I don't know. So I love you guys. Don't forget your homework today, okay? Go out and ground yourself. Spend some time walking around in nature. Drink some more water as well. We don't drink enough water. Every single time I ask the soul guys, what do they need to do? They said, you need to drink more water. None of us drink enough water. So go drink a nice tall glass of water right now. Mwah! I love you guys. I'll see you all tomorrow. I hope you have a wonderful day. Speak to you soon. Bye, guys.